Welcome to the Board Game Snobs podcast. Critically harsh reviews with a touch of class.
And go.
It seems like it's been a long time since we recorded last, hasn't it been?
Yeah, it's been over a month.
Yeah, this is the Board Game Snobs, the podcast that you need to be listening to, coming at you during the winter event of the season in Oklahoma, Texas.
Frozen tundra headed our way, according to everyone.
It's cold rain right now. Everybody's taking a cold shower in Oklahoma, and we are scared to death because we can't drive on anything that even remotely resembles ice. I was there for the 2010 San Antonio ice capades. That was awful. They sing songs about that day. The first time it ever iced in San Antonio. It was terrible.
Every dad is like, as soon as it rains a little bit, our roads are slick. Gets that oil up.
Mm-hmm.
And it must be true in Texas because it rains a little bit, people in the ditch.
You're not a dad unless you warn somebody about the weather every day. Like it's just a go-to thing.
Gina's mother still calls her when it's raining, storming, cold. Wrap your pipes. I don't understand the wrap. My pipes are inside my home. They stay warm because I keep the heat on.
Well,
do you cover your faucet heads?
I do. I wrap my faucet heads, but I have spigots outside. Are they spigots? Is that what you call them?
Oh, I have a faucet coming out of my wall, but that's just it. It's just the head.
You should wrap your pipes.
I've never once had anything happen. Now, if I had just a pipe coming out of the ground and then a spigot attached, faucet head, then yeah, I would wrap that. But I've never had that. I don't mean to sound cocky, but it's never happened. This will be the year.
Yourself.
I'll rue the day. I'll rue this day. This day being 2/2/22.
I know.
It's basically a Tuesday. It's a Tuesday, even though it's Wednesday.
It's weird.
I'm dating this podcast. We're trying to get this out stat.
Right.
Because we had 1 week and we're missing this by a day. So we're going to make this lean and mean. No mistakes, no errors. We're not going to say anything that I have to edit out so that I can just push it out right away. Just like a woman, just like a woman that has a child right away. Yeah. Just push it out. Very simple.
I'm not going to say anything that you would need to edit out. So none of my QAnon theories or any of my.
You told me they weren't theories.
No, they're not. But I have to say theories, or we're going to get removed from Spotify.
Did you hear?
It doesn't matter.
Did you
because
hear?
We're on the Gateway Network.
Did you? No, we're not. Yeah.
Yeah, we are. We are on the Gateway Network. I've talked to Brian. Ryan, we're going to be on the Gateway Network.
Why?
You should listen because we're a part of a network. And
why?
I hear we're trying to convince Neil Young to join the Gateway Network too. Since he's not on Spotify anymore either. So there you go.
Did you hear about the brawl in Bensalem, Pennsylvania over steak?
The Golden Corral that I posted about on Facebook? Yes.
Rios says the person in front of him, Alex Rios, says the person in front of him became angry with the cook because Alex received his steak first. Why did he get his steak first? Because he wanted a rare steak. The fellow in front of him wanted it well done. It don't take as long to cook a rare steak. You just
what kind of psychopath eats a well done steak?
I don't know. I used to before. Okay, maybe it was a young person because when I was young, I didn't know no better. I was always taught cook your meat thoroughly, or else you'll get some sort of disease and die. So growing up, everything was well done, burnt to a crisp. That's why I hated steak growing up, because Mama would basically just burn the crap out of it, and it's like beef jerky. I never liked steak growing up until I actually had a properly prepared, moist, medium to medium rare. I'll even go medium well, but that's still too done. And now I'm a medium guy now. But yeah, I didn't like steak growing up because I didn't know how to. I just did what my parents did. And Mama would get these pieces of meat out of the oven. She would put them in the oven too. We'd cook them in the oven. I was just like, it's so tough. I don't know. And I'm sure it was
Gordon Ramsay says you're supposed to sear the steak in a pan, then put it in the oven to finish it.
Oh, okay. Well, it was always tough. And I'm sure we bought the cheapest cuts of meat.
It wasn't Wagyu?
No, it was not. I do put Wagyu sauce on my spaghetti though.
Wow.
Rios says everyone. Now this was strange to me. What this has to do with the fight? Oh, okay. He continues on. Rio says everyone was wearing masks and had a hard time hearing each other. He believes this may have caused the fight to escalate. With quote, with COVID right now, mask and everything, nobody can hear nobody sometimes. I'm not sure about his grammar there. Nobody can hear nobody sometimes, said Rios.
60% of the time it works every time. You have your mask on and you're like trying to tell somebody, have a nice day. And they're like, what did you say to me? And then
it's like everybody's sounding like Darth Bane.
Next time you get choked out by the fondue fountain at Golden Corral.
So I was thinking, if you were in a fight, if you're in a fight at the Golden Corral, what food do you grab first?
As defense?
Yes, or attack.
Ham. You grab that ham bone.
Pork chops. Some of the pork chops have bone,
and that's like brass knuckles.
What about defense then? How would you protect yourself?
There's sprinkles by the ice cream machine, and I would throw sprinkles at people as like a distraction.
What would be
sprinkles
like
in the eyes?
I would like to have a cool catchphrase as I defeated somebody at the salad bar. I don't know what it would be.
I don't know,
but I'd have to come up with one. Something like squash that beef.
Something like that.
And that incorporates squash and beef. Two things possibly found at the Golden Corral.
You merely embraced the buffet. I was born in it.
Darth Bane just running around there.
Being young, so I was wondering, we have Golden Corrals here. We used to have sirloin stockades. I don't see them as much. We used to have Western sizzling.
Sizzlers.
Sizzler?
Not to correct you. Yeah, sizzlers.
I remember a Western weird. Sizzling.
Okay, I'm looking it up. Continue.
Well, I looked up which buffet is the best, ranking all-you-can-eat buffets, chains from worst to first. This is from mashed.com. Now, they went beyond country buffets, which is what those tend to be. Golden Corral. There used to be a Ryan's in town about an hour from here. Ryan's was good. Their macaroni and cheese was always quite exceptional. When you go to a buffet, what's the first thing you go for? Mine is macaroni and cheese.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. There's actually a Sizzlers and a Western Sizzling. So you were both right.
Okay. Well, they had CC's at last at number 13, as it should be.
Oh, Lord. CC's Pizza is the ghetto of all pizza.
Although I used to like the chocolate pizza.
Well, chocolate pizza, you can't go wrong because it's basically just sugar.
Chocolate pizza.
Bread and sugar.
Number 12, my parents' favorite, super salad. I hate super salad.
I don't think I've ever been to super salad.
They have them in Dallas. Number 11, they're all out of business around here, Shoney's.
I used to love Shoney's.
I used to go to Shoney's for breakfast buffets specifically.
I puked at a Shoney's.
Gluttony. One of the 7 deadly sins.
I was like 10 years old, and my mom told me you get your money's worth out of this $4 kids buffet because they would lie about my age. Think like kids under 6 or 8 or something like that. And I was a small child. I was malnourished. Hence, eating at Shoney's to try to bulk
because you throw up all your food.
Well, I ate like I didn't know what else to eat. So I ate an apple and then like I just went all over it. I just kept eating, trying to get as much as I could. And then next thing I know, it hit me and I vomited outside the women's restroom at Shoney's.
Why the women's restroom? Sexist.
The men's room was full, so I thought I could dart into the women's restroom.
It's never
like the atrium there, like they kind of segregate them out just a little bit. That's where I was going for. I was going to go into the women's restroom and throw up.
It's never a good sign when the restroom is full at wherever you're at.
Nope.
Number 10. They don't have these around here. Pizza Ranch. Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
It says especially popular in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa.
I didn't know we were going to do a top 10 list of buffets.
Number 9. Old Country Buffet. Now,
skip to number 3.
I've seen those around here.
Skip to 3. Go 3 and up. I don't care about the
rest. 8 Western Sizzlin'. Number 8. So if it's at number 8, that means that your choice is above it. Number 7, the Pizza Hut Buffet. Number 6, another one never heard of, Soup Plantation or Sweet Tomato. Don't know that. That must be
I love sweet tomato.
I like tomatoes. Huh?
I think it's in Florida.
I don't see it on here. Number 5, Sirloin Stockade.
Yeah, representing. I rode out a tornado at a Sirloin Stockade once.
Was it during the buffet? Did you pay for it or did you just sit there?
Yes, I was eating at the Sirloin Stockade. I got to see the big cow, the decorative cow that's out front, get turned over while a tornado blew through town.
Which town?
Ardmore, Oklahoma, where a F3 hit the Uniroyal tire plant. This was the 90s.
What happened to the tire plant? Did it go out of business?
Yes, because the tire plant was next to an El Chico's Mexican restaurant, and a tire went through the window at El Chico's and killed somebody.
Oh,
and so they sold it to Michelin afterwards, I believe.
What are the odds of that? It's so sad to be that unlucky. You hear those types of stories. It's like one in a billion chance, and it happens to you. Tire through the window. That's sad. Number 4, Shakey's Pizza. Okay, the top 3. Sizzler, number 3. I don't know that I've been to Sizzler.
It's a thing.
Number 2, Who Hot Mongolian Grill. Not familiar with that.
Never heard of it.
Okay, this has me concerned about the validity of this website. Number 1, Golden Corral.
Golden Corral.
So maybe that's why they were fighting over the steaks. They're like, this place is number 1, baby.
I'm going to post the video of the old training video for Golden Corral on our Facebook page. It's amazing. It's disturbing and amazing.
This says Golden Corral has an incomparable carving station and a salad bar complete with all types of fruits and vegetables.
That's what Enrique could become. A carver.
He get just proficient with that butcher knife.
Yes, he could master the blade.
Oh, yeah. We used to. Okay, so I was thinking about that. I was like, growing up, you eat when your parents are broke and you're like, how can we feed these kids the cheapest way possible? It's always a buffet. Just and I say cheap buffet. It probably isn't all that cheap. It's probably like $10 a person, which, I mean, you could go to Taco Bell and get, a taco for $1, I guess. But I remember going to those like Sirloin Stockade, and I used to think it was the bomb. Like I loved going in there. I would just fill up on macaroni and cheese, and I never made myself sick though.
You've not gone hard until you puked at a buffet.
But there was a old country buffet, I think in Hot Springs or somewhere we used to go, and they are superior in my opinion.
Not to ruin your buffet talk, but did you see that the groundhog died?
But it wasn't Phil, Punxsutawney Phil.
It wasn't Punxsutawney, but it was another groundhog, which I, for some reason, am a wealth of knowledge regarding groundhogs because I recall, I think 2014, 2015, when the mayor of New York dropped the groundhog and killed it. I think that was de Blasio. Like he dropped the groundhog and then like a few days later it succumbed to its injuries and they were all like, no, that he was old. That's not what killed him. And then like the zoo did an autopsy and then come back and said, yes, the fall did kill him. And then they passed a law now, I guess a statute whatever they call it for the groundhogs, that nobody is to actually take them out of their pen except the handler. So like no elected official can now molest the groundhog lest they plunge it to its doom.
You have to say, look, I'm the professional handler for this hog.
And Groundhog Day used to be Candlemas, which is
Excuse me?
The Germans would hand out candles for the winter. And it slowly became, that's why it originated big time in Pennsylvania when they started doing groundhogs, which they used to do hedgehogs. So there's that.
But they don't ever see their shadow. I mean, that's all made up. It's never seen its shadow. It never doesn't see its shadow. It's all false. It's propaganda by big weather.
And yes, this is how they get you. They make you buy in to this faux weatherman that is some sort of ground rodent, and you put your faith in it. And next thing you know, we're sleeveless, and it's February, and you think, just a few more weeks, I'll be all right.
Punxsutawney Phil said we'll be okay. And why is it always 6 weeks? What's the deal with 6 weeks?
I don't know.
Should be 9.5 weeks.
There are literally no Phils that I trust. Not Dr. Phil, not Phil Donahue. I'm trying to think of any other Phils.
I think there's a Phil Turbay in our Facebook group.
Philip Seymour Hoffman. He's not a Phil. I'm just going to make sure everybody understands that.
R.I.P.
You have to be a Phil. His son is doing a great job reprising or following in his father's footsteps. Who else is a Phil?
I bet some of his close friends called him Phil.
No, it's like,
are you speaking of professionally?
It's like, people who are named Matthew and they go by Matthew, and then there's people that go by Matt. It's like they insist that this is what you call them. People
it's like my name, like Gabrielle. I'm not Gabrielle. I'm Gabi.
Gabriella.
I'm Gabi.
You got a woman's name in America, so you got to go by Gabi. But like, if you choose to go by your shortened name, then that says a lot about you. Like Joffrey and Jeff.
I'm a nickname guy. Give me a nickname. I call you Jer Bear,
which is weird.
I'm all about making a nickname. That's a sign of close association, endearment.
Is that why gang members have them? Is that like your T-Pain? It's like it's endearment.
Are you saying T-Pain's a gang member?
No, I'm just saying that was the first nickname
T-Bone.
I could think of that was like a gang member.
There's always T involved somewhere. Why so many T's? Ice-T.
Yeah, what's with T?
T-Bone, T-Pain. What's the T stand for? Theodore? Theodore Bone. Oh, speaking of Ice-T and other rappers. Okay, Megan Fox is no. Rihanna is pregnant. And
by whom?
This is the thing. It's a fellow named ASAP Rocky. So I'm wondering, is his full name As Soon As Possible Rocky?
It's As Soon As Possible Rockford.
It's all shortened. Now the S is a $sign, so I don't know if you can actually pronounce that as an S. So it's like as money as possible. I guess that might be it. But that's just an unusual name. And I would like to know, does his name ASAP stand for As Soon As Possible Rocky? I need to know. Rockford. Anyway, Rihanna's now pregnant. And, good for her. She needs to make some more music, though. I'm a big fan of Rihanna. Ever since Umbrella.
I don't think I'm a Rihanna. I can't recall any Rihanna songs. I mean, there's very few musicians. No, they're like the cross between magicians and musicians. They sing while doing tricks. I don't know any of her songs, but that's not knocking her.
I know some prostitutes that do the same thing.
And we're trying not to edit this.
Oh, okay.
So either way,
prostitutes exist. They're not magical creatures. I said something that's real.
Oh, so we're being for real now.
Keeping it real. Speaking of keeping it real, I have not since this. Okay, so Board Game Snobs, supposedly a board game related podcast, I'd like to say we are not a board game podcast. We're a podcast that possibly might discuss games, which we generally do. I have not played anything. I've been involved in some asynchronous plays, which Jim Crimmins, sorry, I just don't like. I play them because it's oftentimes the only thing I can play.
Where's Jim?
But
You're playing with Jim Crimmins
on BGA, and I play in Yokohama. Oh, okay. Well, that's a different story. But I messed
playing
up.
with J Crim.
I ruined the game of Yokohama because of a weird glitch. But I just don't like asynchronous play because I never remember what was I doing, what was my goal, what's everyone else doing. Like it's just a whole new world every time I open that up. I'm not a fan, but I do it out of necessity. I don't even know. I don't know why. I don't know why I keep doing it. Just I need to just stop and just say, you know what? I don't do async.
You do need to stop. You're async Rockford. Everybody needs to send us their nicknames at boardgamesnob@gmail.com, or we'll give you a nickname like J Crim.
So I haven't been up to anything board game wise, but you said you have something to talk about. So go ahead. And for some reason, Jerry doesn't like to tell me so that I can like kind of prepare my mind for what he's going to talk about. So go for it.
You don't prepare at all.
I prepared all that buffet hard journalism.
Right. And so it went completely contrary to what I talked with you about earlier today when I told you what I was going to talk about.
No, you didn't. You told me like 3 different things we could possibly talk about.
No.
So you could have just said
topic.
You could have just said at the beginning of this podcast, no, remember, this is what we was going to talk about. But you didn't.
No, do you remember? Do you remember what we were going to talk about? That we are going to talk about how people get burnout with board games at times. I find, as in most people in this hobby, that my board game playing waxes and wanes. Sometimes I'm really into the hobby and I play a lot of board games. And then other times, due to whatever circumstances, board games are few and far between.
Sometimes it's a big wane. Sometimes it's a little wane.
Okay. Gabi sometimes gets into a funk and decides because he hasn't played board games in a while that he now no longer likes them.
I think I hate them.
So I have brought up that this familiarity is actually not a good thing, and that I do not trust people who just engage in one hobby and that's it. Like that's their thing. They focus on almost to an obsession, this one aspect. So for instance, board gaming, a lot of people paint minis. I don't consider that to be in the hobby. I consider that to be a side thing. A lot of people just play board games. Some people paint minis, some people board game. These are all different facets. But when I'm talking about other hobbies, I mean other hobbies that aren't necessarily board game related or connected to. So I would be interested just to find out what some of the hobbies are of our listeners. Like some people collect things, and I don't really consider collecting to be a hobby, although that's kind of, it is. I mean, a lot of people collect stamps and various other items. It's an odd hobby to me because I have this mental block about collecting things. I think because I'm deep down, I'm a hoarder, and I know I can't engage in that activity, or you would find me covered in filth and have CC pizza boxes everywhere in my home because I wouldn't throw anything away. I just say I'm collecting it. But either way, if you have a hobby that's adjacent to board gaming or something completely different, you need to email us at boardgamesnobs@gmail.com. And I feel like anybody who solely engages in board games to the nth degree, that they just consume board game media all the time, and that's all they want to do, they should seek help.
I just don't. As I have been unable to play, and I hop on our Twitter and Instagram, and of course we follow almost exclusively board game people, and I just like, how do they have time? And do you do anything else? And I don't want to disparage those that enjoy board gaming because we are a board game podcast. That would be foolish.
I want to disparage them too. I'm here to disparage them.
So, but when I was in my funk and I haven't been able to play, but I've been doing other things. I've been doing this. I've been doing that. I've been jogging. I've been reading. I got a bunch of shows I need to do, doing stuff with the family. And then, before I go to bed at night, I tend to browse and it's like, oh, we played 5 games today. Oh, we're Twitching. We're live streaming. We're YouTube. I'm like, how do these people have so much time? Me and Jerry get together once a month. That's all we can do. But God bless you if you have more time than that. I mean, you have constructed your life in a way you're able to do what you want. Good for you. But it just, for me, not having to, the further I get and have gotten from podcasting and playing board games, the less interested I have been. Now, we are going to play, today is Wednesday, we're going to play, Lord willing, and the snow doesn't rise. Jerry's supposed to come over Friday, 2 days from now. And I'm sure I will rekindle my love for board gaming. But at this moment, I don't care. But you posted on our Facebook other hobbies, and you did get quite a few responses. 38, as a matter of fact.
And I would like to delve into like your conundrum, because I've heard it mentioned numerous times on various other podcasts where people have said, well, like Mr. Dan Hughes of Core Quest fame, the game I inspired, that, he is seemingly not in the hobby anymore.
Like, he says he hates board games.
Yes, he says he spent all of his time designing and being involved in Core Quest and all those other things, that it's like he's lost the taste for it. So I think a lot of people assume that if they're not consumed in the hobby, they don't like it anymore. And I just don't agree with that. I think that everybody's interest waxes and wanes, and at times you're not going to be able to engage in board gaming as much as you like. And just because you're not doing something as much as you like, such as yourself, I don't think that indicates that you don't like the hobby anymore. I mean, that's an insane thought to me. I mean, to think that there's something that you have engaged in so much and that you enjoyed so much, and all of a sudden, because you're not doing it at the frequency that you used to, now all of a sudden you don't like it.
I think it's probably jealousy. Like, I would like to be involved to that degree. I would like to have that many game days. Like, some people game day with their wife. Some people game day every week. Some people game day twice a week. And then they're able to stream those plays, and they just have that ability. I do not. And for me, I don't know. It's been a long time. And for some reason, it irritated me here recently. And I am also an idiot, and I have mental issues, and I've been in my head a lot here lately about things I like and don't like. I've been even like pondering, like, why do I podcast? Am I good at it? I think about, I try to do an enjoyable podcast. Am I funny? Am I still funny? Do I make fun? I'm just super in my own head about everything. And this has been on my mind about gaming and board gaming. And do I still like board gaming? Obviously I do. I have 100 games or more sitting right here in front of me. I love playing games. I just haven't had a chance to do it. That irritates me. When I see people posting all their crap, I'm like, don't you have anything else to do? Maybe it's a jealousy thing. I don't know. It was just something on my brain.
Get off my lawn. Yeah. I think you're right. There's a lot to unpack there. And sadly, I don't have time for it because Jerry just got a phone call during our recording process that I've got a patient I got to go take care of. It's 8:30 at night.
A very bad emergency, and you got to go out in the winter weather. Well, please be careful, sir.
I'm a hero. Hashtag healthcare hero.
So we spent too much time on eateries and buffets and not enough on this, because
you about that buffet.
We talked way longer than this on our phone call today. You had much more to say.
I do. And I tell you what, when I come over Friday and do our thing and you rekindle your love,
the spark the romance back up. I'm going to light some candles. I'm going to caress the board game. I'm going to look at you and Enrique, and I'll be back in love.
Let's go to Golden Corral.
Ooh, it's just down the street.
You live like a block from Golden Corral. So you're talking a lot of trash about something that's your neighbor. We could go to Golden Corral and start a fight. but just be between us and stage it and have somebody record it.
Well, remember we just had a discussion about fights at Olive Garden and jousting with breadsticks. I think they hurt us.
That could be true. I don't like Olive Garden. And if everybody who ate at Olive Garden fought everybody at Golden Corral, I think we could all agree that basically Golden Corral would win.
They should combine them together and make a spaghetti western sizzling.
Don't ever question if you're funny ever again.
And thank you. I'll go out on that. Go save your patient. I'm Gabi.
Thank you for listening to the Board Game Snobs. Stay classy.